I have given access.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Sandeep. Happy Dasera. In US,
Happy
do you
Dasara.
celebrate?
Yes, we do. We do. Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So they said they don't have any doubt. Do you have any doubt on this last topic, that validation and derivation?
Yeah, I'm actually working on one uh, prototype. I'll
Mhm.
let you know. I'll let you know today
Sure.
or tomorrow. So I'm starting from the UI modeling. So I'm actually doing some small kind of a POC. It will cover every angle of data modeling, UI modeling, and then coming to derivation, some small value derivation.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
that was that validation and derivation what we had seen. So I'll keep derivation on you all. So validation, like it's the same, nothing changed. So you work on this derivation part. So at least you'll get some idea on the derivation part. Okay. So this was similar to that check entity, check entity, how we have done all the naming convention also. It remains the same, only that instead of check here, we have to use derive. So now coming to this body part. So what happens? Like as I said, something can be achieved using BRF plus, some cannot be achieved using BRF plus. So they have given us the body. If you go inside this body, so we have two things. Okay, we have similar single entity body, and another one is cross entity body. And the body name is this USMD rule service. Okay, so I'll just go this and I'll create one body for this. So suppose I'm giving Jed ENH underscore. So here I'll give derive underscore entity underscore BP. Derivation for BP model. Okay, so this body remains the same for all. So here, so on the USMD, so the body name is USND underscore USND underscore rule underscore service. So whenever you see in your project, you'll have the same body across all the module. Suppose if it is BP, if it is MM, or if it is OG, finance, any module, you'll have the same body. So now I'll just save inside this. Suppose I'll create new only. Enhancement. So this I have given the implementation name. Now I am giving here. So I think P Z Mdg underscore CL underscore derive entity. Okay, and I'll say continue. So this body is a filter dependent body. Okay, So if you see now, we have here, this is a rule service body, and this we have implementation class, and these are all the methods, and here we have the filter value. So as I said, this body is common for all. So how to differentiate which body is used for which entity types and which for which data model? So here you will have the combination of entity type and the model. So as this is the filter dependent body, okay. So if you go here, you can enter the entity name. Suppose here, if you go here, so this one is model. So you can give here, suppose if you are working for BP, you can give here the value 1 and the model, and you can say continue. And suppose if you want to give the entity name, that also you can give here. You can give here the entity names. Suppose if you want, if you remember, you can give here, or if you don't want, even directly you want it to be directly applied for all the BP model, then you don't have to give this entity name. So what you can do, you can remove this one. Okay, so you can see this is a combination. So now it will directly work for only BP data model, and it will be applicable for all the entity. So now after clicking this, you have to click on implementation class. So when you are clicking on, when you are doing on the implementation class, what you have to do, the first task is activate all the methods. Whether you are using or you are not using doesn't matter. You'll have to activate all the methods. So you can directly activate this one. Supplier ACC. So I'm just activating all these methods. So if you miss any of this method while you are implementing, so when the program will run and the body will run, so it will give you the dumps that this implementation is not exist. So that's why I'm saying that whenever you create any body, you'll have to activate all the methods. It may be happen that you are not using here, but standard may be using somewhere. So that's why you'll have to you have to make this as an active. If you don't redefine it, what will happen? The standard body where they are using, that will come into the picture. So that we don't want to come into the picture if there is a custom body implemented. So now I have activated this. So finally, what I'll do, I'll activate all at once. So it's saying, see, like this, we get the error. Implementation is missing for method since she request. See, where is that? C request. Check C request. What I'll put? I'll put one more filter. So I'll say so here I'll give BP underscore CNTRL equal to, sorry. If you don't remember, you can get from here. Continue. So now we are not getting any error. So what I'll do, I'll select all and I'll activate. Okay. So here what happens, how we have in BRF plus two things, check entity and derive entity. Here also we have the same way, check entity and derive entity. So anything you want to derive can be written here. Anything you want to validate can be written here. Suppose in the check entity, suppose in check entity, you want to perform some conditions. So what happens in this, you have this entity, okay? That is ID entity type. ID entity type has the table type of USMD entity, and USMD entity is of, you can say here it's a domain, and it is all the entity, whatever you have will be stored in this USMD model, entity type, and everything. So all the entity type, whatever entity type you want, can be taken from this. And any data. So this is the data. Means so from here you can get the entity type, that which entity type you want to perform the conditions, and IT data is the one that the validate. You want to validate your data. That's why you are going to based on the conditions. So all the data associated to the entity type will be applied here. It will move one by one. Okay. So the entity name which you give, that entity name, based on that entity name, the data will be available here. So now suppose if I'll show you now, if like ID underscore entity type ID entity type entity type is not not initial, not initial. Okay. So now I'm just putting this so I can show you the data what is coming here. So I'll just put the breakpoint. So slash one. Suppose I'm going for supplier. It's taking some time to open this one. Suppose I'm going for this.
And also we can put the filter on entity type also on the data model if the implementation is only for a particular entity type.
Yeah. So here, so this is we have put the filter ND type only. If you see here, when they have put the filter this BP and
Mhm.
ND type is BP central.
If we don't keep that filter, we'll get access to all entity types, right?
Oh, but again, what to say? It was giving us a warning. So
Okay.
suppose you want to add many entity type over here. So what you can do, you can add BP and as many entity which you want, you can keep on adding the combinations.
Yeah. I mean, there different types of BPs, maybe a particular type of BP, and we can put a filter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that we might have some custom entity types. We want to derive something. So,
Any.
okay,
All.
got it.
But only it will be BP. You cannot say that I want to do cross BP and MM. That cannot work. Okay.
One filter, one data model.
Yes. One implementation class, one data model.
Yeah.
Okay. So like suppose if I'm giving this data, suppose I'm creating this. So see, this is getting triggered. And what we get here, so we get this entity type here, BP central. Okay. So you're getting it. So we had put the filter on BP central. That's why we are getting this. And then if I'll show you the variable, we have IT data. In this IT data, you have this all the details. Whatever details you'll enter, everything you'll get here. So now I have not entered any more details. So this will get triggered every time the check functionality gets every time the background activity takes get created. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. Suppose here I'm giving test, and here I'm giving company. So this is no refresh activities taken care here. That's why this is not triggered. So suppose here language and so if I'll press enter, so here you'll get entity type, and in local variable you'll get the data. In this data you'll see all the details, short one, name org1, so what we have entered that has come. So number is not an interval of 9,000. Suppose I'm giving here 9 2 4. So by comparing this, by comparing a data and all, you'll get, so from data IT data you can compare, and then after this, if you want to put a message, so after that you can put the message, you can pass the message into this, saying that, so in this is a table type, so you can pass the ID, message ID, or you can pass plain text. Suppose if you're like how we have done in the BRF plus, similarly you can able to do here, from here also. So suppose I want to show you here. So see here we have S message, and in this S message you have ID, message type, message number, variable. If you want to write any variable, you can write the variable also. So if you want to directly pass this message ID, message type, if you don't want to pass this, you can pass this message variable one, and with the field name for which you are going to pass. So it will give you the message. So directly you can pass the message, and then it will be visible on the screen. How this is visible now? Any
So
question?
one question, Prem, how do you enable this orange color? Uh, you are getting
Yeah.
orange color.
So for this, actually, we'll be covering this. So this comes in the process modeling.
That's fine. If you are going to cover later, that's fine.
Yeah. So in process modeling, I'll show you highlight changes is there. So you'll have to just enable that one.
Yeah.
Okay. So any question on this?
That IT data is whatever the data we see in the debugging mode,
Mhm.
that is only related to that entity type what you have filtered, or it is
Yes.
going to give all the.
No, only that particular, because it's getting triggered. It is getting triggered at that entity type only. So it will have only that entity data.
And it has the structure as generated in the data model structure, this TP-based structure. No?
Yes, it's a generic structure. So we can use field symbol. So this is type any, okay, type any table. So based on this, you can use, so as you are given the filter now, so in order to, this is a data. So how you can take this data, you can take like loop at, so this is simple like IT data assigning field symbol L, L, you can say fs underscore s underscore data. So you can take this data into this field symbol, and once the data is available here, you can compare your data and you can put the logic, whatever the logic is required, because your data, suppose I'll show you that also. Like now I've written this code, okay. So this will come from BP Central only. So now in order to execute that code, again, I have to close this one, leave this page, new organization, create supplier. Oh, I'm giving this, I'm giving this. So if you'll see here, so this, because you cannot take the data from table, so you'll have to read into structure. So now you have got all the data in the structure. Whatever you want to compare, you can compare. You can compare everything here, and then you can pass that. It's a simple, like a simple ABAP logic only. You can pass the data into this variable. This is called AT message. In this, you can pass your message, whatever you want. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. So now what happens? Suppose I want to show you an example of derive. Okay. So what happens? Suppose if I say, if my country is India, I want to have my transportation zone. Oh, no transportation zone only. Suppose if my country is India, I can have this one. Legal entity, private law bank. Suppose I'm giving one example, okay? So I'll have to check. Now this is my, if I want to check this entity, so how I can check? I have to go to technical help, and this BP, this is, I think this will be BP address, okay? And this will be BP address, and this will be my BP org, I think. Like suppose I want to see SC Mdg IMG. Suppose if I'll go for visualize data model. So I'm just checking from, you can take the entity from entity name from here also, and you can take the entity name, if you know the thing, you can take the entity name from there also. So suppose if you're thinking, to the screen, so that from there you can get the entity name. And if you don't want to go from there, you can just take this one. You can go to data model, and in data model, you can take this as a visualize data model, and then all the entity will come, and you can give this one. Suppose this is giving legal. So see, this is even in, this is also even in legal entity and legal form. So this is legal entity and legal organization is available in BP Central only. So BP legal entity, BP form, this is BP Central only. So what I can do, but I have to first read from, because the country is from, so that also you can find here where is from the country. So we have COUNTR country. land 1. So we have name, first name, last name, VP header, address number, sort 1. I think this will be, where is transportation zone? This is AD postal. Transportation zone. I think this is the entity. So if you see this entity is AD underscore postal. So now how to check and how to implement. So you got this point, what I'm doing now. So in order to derive, do the cross entity, okay. So if you get a requirement that based on the country you want to change this legal entity or legal form data, okay. So now I'm just considering the simple example based on the country. I want to change this legal entity and legal form, derive legal entity and legal form. Similarly, you may get in the project, you may get different conditions. So the condition will be same, that from other entity, read that entity and derive the other entity value. So now, in order to do that, first I have to know which is this entity, which they are asking me to read one. So first you'll have to read this entity, then only you can go for the other entity. So there will be, now there are two things to be considered. The one entity from where I have to compare the value, and the one entity from where I have to derive the value, put the value inside it. So how to get that one? You can either go to right click over here and you can go to technical help, and from technical help you can go to UI, and from the UI you can get the feeder class parameter. Or you can, if you know this field name, you can go to directly data model of your respective data model on which you're working, give the data model name, and after that visualize the data model like how I have done now. So you can visualize your data model and you give the field name for which you are looking. And after that, giving the field name, you'll come to know, and you compare the fields, which are the fields that is available over here and which fields is available on the particular entity. So if you think that, oh, all this, after comparing, once you find that all everything is the same, then you can go and put the conditions. Is it clear?
Yeah, one question. So
Yeah.
this baddie gets triggered for mass processing also?
Yes, this body gets triggered for mass processing also, and for all single processing also. This gets triggered even for FI, even for BP, even for all the modules.
So when you want to populate data based on different entities, so here
Yeah.
in this case, based on the country code, you want to populate a different field, which is the region or something,
Yes.
transportation region. So like how does the data gets populated? For each entity, we will get data to the, we will get the corresponding.
So that was only for what to say, this was only for single entity. Now I am going for different body. In order to consider this requirement, I have to go
Go for,
and
oh, it's not, it's okay, it's not a same body. Okay.
yeah, it's not the same body. I'm going to go to the new body.
Oh, okay.
So in order to do this requirement, so this was for single entity, that single entity body. You cannot do cross entity requirement. So now in order to do that, so there's another entity body called derivation across entity type. So this is a cross entity type in which you can create the requirement. Sorry, the body name is USMD rule service cross entity. Okay. The another one is, so only the difference over here is that here cross entity requirements, like when you have multiple entity across it, we have the requirement, we get the requirement with multiple entity, considering the multiple entity. That time you have to go in the cross entity. If you go and start finding in the single entity, you will not get any results. So instead of wasting the time over there, you have to say whenever you think there are two entity or three entity, more than one entity is involved, you don't have to go to the first body. You have to come into this body, USMD rule service cross entity. Okay, you make remember this body name. Single entity is still rule service, and cross entity is just they have added these two words cross underscore et. So now I'll go inside and I'll create a Z. Okay. So after going here, cross entity body implementation, here I'm giving this. So we get the requirement. So we means so when you are working, we get all the requirements. So even for the body derivation or even for check, comparing the value from another entity to another entity, we have the check also. Like suppose I'm create MD implementation, MT class. Okay, so here you can give the filter value. So here you have a combination, only one. That is, you can give the combination as BP, the data model. So that's why when you are in a single validation, a single entity, that is USMD rule service, and I was giving only entity name, this only data model name, it was giving an error. So when you are in a cross entity, that time you can give directly the data model name. Similarly, now we have this implementation class, and in this implementation class, we have this derived methods. And I'll say activate. I'll say continue. Okay. So here we have this IO data model, IO change, IO write. In order to read the data, you have this delta buffer. In this, this method is very useful whenever you need any data to be compared from the buffer with the active area. Suppose when you may be comparing Like suppose you say your requirement has, if in the active area, you may have the material type, some material type FERT, or it may be any conditions. And you based on that, if the person is going to change, then he may not be able to change that particular fields. Okay, so that time how you can compare? So the first thing that whenever in the data is available, if you are changing your data in MDG, that will be available in this method. Okay, so it is delta buffer record. In this method, your all the value what you have changed will be available here. Anything you want to write in your data, then that will be available in this IO write data. Okay, so now how to do that? So if you go here and if you say IO underscore changed, you want to say read data. Okay, you may say the entity, suppose you may say the entity name as BP underscore CNTRL. So I'll show you whenever you insert your data. So you don't have to read this one, insert, because whatever we do, insert or modify, you may be, I think as a technical consultant, we may be knowing insert and you want to update, that both the thing are available in modify, right? We're doing the modify conditions when we do any modify record. So modify record does two operations. If you have the record, then it will update that records. And if you don't have the records, it will insert that records. So that's why if you don't want to read this insert, that also is fine. Anything that is coming and writing in your MDG, everything will be getting you will be getting from here. That is insert and this modify records. So here I'm just giving this. Suppose ER underscore MOD. Similarly, if you have deleted some records, so you'll have here ER underscore delete. Suppose you want to read, so this is of like we don't use, means it depends. So I'll just show you on these two things. So you'll be this it works as the same way. So don't worry, you'll not be worried about how to do this one.
But the update will insert a record if that's not available, right?
Update. This modify will have all the records, whatever is modified or insert, this will be having in here, in this.
But we have to use only one.
You can use one only. Because see, why we use modify? Modify will have both the records, insert and change. Otherwise, if I'll not use this, what will happen? I have to read this also and I have to read this also. That means I have to read two records, two internal table. So instead of reading two internal table, I can get only in one internal table. That is called modify. You're getting it? Why I'm not using this two?
Yeah. So in delete, you will get all the records which were deleted.
Yes.
And in modify is you'll get updated one or inserted one.
Yes. Okay. So I have given this entity. So whenever you want to read any entity, you have to pass in a similar way. So now suppose I want to read another entity, and that is BP. So we have that is AD postal. Okay, so AD underscore POSTL. So I have declared there, so that I don't have to declare here. Okay. So I'm just putting this condition. If you don't put this condition and if you trigger, if your IO change does not have any data and if you trigger that one, it will give you dump saying that IO change is initial. So we want to trigger only when IO change is not initial. So I'll say this now activated. I'll put this condition. I'll close this. I'll close this. So first I'll show you how we read the data. So if I have this organization, so see here we got one data, and the data is, I think this will be this one, the header. That's why the IO change has triggered. So first what I'll do, I'll read this one. Okay, so as soon as I enter this one, see, if I'll read this one, delete is initial, modify. Modify has the record, birth, sort, and similarly, if I'll look this one, so I think, oh, this might have replaced with the
Yeah, I
occurred.
think he used the same name. Yeah.
Yes. So this will have nothing is here. Header, short. I think it had not read the postal records. So you can go here and see. So over here we have do buffer, and in this DT data we have two things. Okay, so that is header, not this one. So in this, in BP header, you have, see, insert and update is initial, and everything is available in this modify only. So over here you have GUID. So GUID is linked with this, and you have BU type 2. What is this BU type? BU type 2 is organization, right? Where is the address? Suppose
You need to create a new data there, because when you when you get the data from the first,
no, we have. So now we have AD postal, and AD postal we have. So in this address number is there, city we have entered, street we have entered, and then postal code, and this is the reference postal. So now based on this, I want to enter another value. So in order to, so we have here, so now we'll check here only. So these are some of the debugging things that I think all of us are aware about this one. So like suppose this address, and we have BP central is not here now because address number, address postal has come into the picture. So if I'll again execute this one, so then after doing this, then it goes for the check. So derive. So now I'll directly say F8, F8.
So this will go in multiple loops then. This is by entity. So we
Yeah,
have
this
called two entities in that cross body. So in that again, in that one entity, again, this is going to trigger this rule which we activated the implementation.
yeah, this will go entity by entity.
Entity by entity.
Okay. So postal code, now I'll say six, and then okay. So now before going there, so we have this one, right? Legal entity and all. So what I'll do, I'll read this one. So AD postal, what I'll do, data. I don't need delete data, so I'll leave it as is. I need so we say postal. Okay. Okay. So now if you want to read, so now if you say AD postal, so we'll have to read assign ER. So here, as this is any type table, so So here we can say data or field symbol. Here in ABAP, in MDG, everything works on field symbol only. So that's why you have to be very much comfortable on ABAP OOPS concept. Suppose LFS score T underscore, suppose postal, AD underscore postal, type any table. Similarly, LFS underscore BP, so T underscore BP underscore RL, type any table. So what we'll do, we'll assign AR underscore mode to fill to LFS underscore T underscore BP center. Similarly, in this postal to AD postal. Okay, so now this I have assigned, and I'm saying actually this is the, how to say, table. So I'll have to loop inside this loop at LFS underscore T underscore BP underscore central. No, it has to loop at, because I'm going to read from postal. AD underscore postal, assigning field symbol LFS underscore S underscore AD underscore POSTL postal. So once this is assigned, okay, so then we'll have to get the field name. So the field name was, I think, called I think this is taking time to activate.
This is more like a technical development, right? We have to give the badge to the developer. And this is what they do.
Yes, yes. So that's why I said this is technical part.
Okay.
So I thought that all of you are technical. That's why I'm covering this topic, right? So
No, but good to know that. I mean, so the because this is more onto the object-oriented program. That's what I was asking. So
yeah,
we have to give the baddie to them, and we have to let the baddie know, or is it something they can find out? How is
they
it typically?
know their body. They all a technical consultant, MDG technical consultant. They know their body on this, the cross entity and all. So
Okay.
you just have to tell the conditions. So based on the conditions, they will implement this. Because when we take the interview, or when you take the interview, the to the technical concern. At least these are the basic things. Like if they worked in even one project, they know which is the body and which body I have to write a single entity body, cross entity body. So everyone is aware about that. You just have to, from the functional point of view or from the any business point of view, they have to tell the conditions, based on which conditions, what derivation, what conditions you require to be derived. Like I think once Alex said that based on the conditions, some field has to be field property body. That based on some conditions, some field has to be enabled or some field has to be hidden. So that also can be done from here. Take the value, pass the value, and then you can take this value to your field property body. So we'll cover that point also, but we'll go into that. First, we'll finish this derivation, cross entity derivation, and then we'll see the later. Fin symbol has not assigned yet. So I had written the condition. So here I have to put if LFS underscore T underscore BP underscore central is assigned and LFS underscore T underscore AD underscore postal is assigned. After this is assigned, then only go ahead. Like how I put the condition is bound. Similarly, I'll have to say here also that once this is assigned, then only proceed ahead. Because if this they are not assigned and you try to take the value, so you cannot take from initial when there is an initial, you cannot do anything. So you'll have to take when it is value, it has the value, then only you can perform any operations. Okay, so now again I'll go here and say new organization. So this is still not assigned. So that's why you have to take only the value when it is assigned. Country IN. Just put this also, so at least we'll come to know what is the value. Okay. I have 6. So we'll see here. This is assigned. Oh, what happens? Some when this is assigned, that is getting refreshed. So this is not assigned. This is also not assigned. So how to do now? Anyone more is working as a technical? Shishu, how to do now? How to achieve this one, that the instance is getting refreshed as soon as the postal is coming.
I'm just looking the code.
So central has come again. So once the central comes, so you'll have the central, but you'll not have the postal. But again, when you have the postal, that times you don't have the central. So how to hold a value that I can compare and perform the derivation for this?
Yeah, it's not an ideal approach, but why don't you use a static global data in the
Yes.
class? So just based on the entity type, just extract the data and put it over there, and at the time of postal code, you can just use that.
Yes, correct. So here also we are going to use the same approach. So what will happen? Like how this is holding a data, similar way we'll have to hold a data in a static table. And so if you see here, time after that, vs usmd underscore. We have one table which holds that data, static data, and for that we have one table type. Say 11 usmd underscore t underscore tity tt. I think this only underscore data. Yeah, so this is the one which holds the data. So you can see here, you have entity. No. This is for outbound processing. Here also we can hold the data. We can pass this data entity, and you can pass the data RT underscore data. But table for entity data. Search for table type. Entity type. Entity details. Entity name and entity data. This also, so you can use any of this. Okay, you can use any of this as a structure in this. You can pass what to say, you can get the data as a static attributes. So you can define that static attributes over here. You can define your attributes over here as a static attributes. Take the data when the value is coming, when you have central data. So here you have this label. Okay, so here you have to take the static attributes. From there you can take the data and then pass the data from. So now when you have that table, so when you have the both the data inside this, so now it will not be this condition will not apply over here, because as soon as we say if LT partner is assigned, then we'll pass this to your static table. When this is assigned, we'll pass to the static table, and then based on the static table, we'll compare, and then we'll pass the value, and then we can derive. So while we are deriving, okay, so while we are deriving, you don't have to do anything. Once you have taken this value, you have to write here. You have to use this code IO underscore write data, and then you can use here write data. If you want to delete any data, you can use delete method. If you want to write data, you can use this write data, and then after then you can pass this IT entity data and the data. So your data will be available in this table. So you can pass the same data to this table. So based on this, your data will get derived. I'll send you the code document on this, so you can proceed. You can have a look on that, and you can proceed on this. Okay.
And also we can do this derivation based upon a change request also. Only a particular change request.
Any conditions, whatever the condition you want to do, you can apply here. So if I'll show you like what happens. So in IO model, this is so what happens here in this model, you have many methods. Okay, you have here in this if you want to read any entity data. So here this is some more technical again. So here any entity details or any this one you can be able to read here. Get change field, get read entity data, all anything can be read here. And if you want to read something related to change request, so you have this there are different API. Okay, in order to get these details, so we use, so in MDG, everyone might have heard about this API that is called USMD underscore gov underscore API, right? You might have heard about this one, CL underscore USMD underscore gov API. So in this is the main API which holds all your data. And then based on that, whatever you want to do, whatever you save, check, everything is done from here at the back end. At the last level, this gets checked then only your data is moved as a, then only your CR is getting created. If here, if you get anything failed, your CR will not get created. This is one API, and in order to get the change request detail, you have, I think, CL underscore C request USMD C request change request C request API. Okay, in this, what we can get, suppose you, as you said, you get the change request. So what happens? So based on this, you get the request list, whatever you are passing now. So you have, because if you say I want to get the change request detail, right? So from here in this body, you don't have the change request. In this body, if you say I want the change request detail, you'll not be able to find the detail of the change request. So for that, you'll have to define one API, and by base you have to read that API, and then only you can get the change request details. So you can use there are different APIs to be used. See, in this method, an importing parameter method, you have IO model, you have IO change, you have IO write, and any message. Okay, so that only you can, this only method you can use, and rest anything you want to use, then you'll have to redefine it, initiate it, and then only you can use. The instance has to be created in this method to use any other method apart from this. You getting a point? Hello?
Can you repeat once the last thing? What you said?
So any method, so these are the methods, okay, that has been initiated or the instance has been created. That's why you're not getting any dump. If you use apart from this method, any other method, then that instance has to be created in this method, because you are using apart from these methods, right? These are the three methods in the constructor class, the instance has been created. That's why it is not giving you dump. And if you don't create the instance, so what will happen if you don't create the instance? So this will come as an initial, and in from initial data, as I said, like as soon as if I try to read the data from initial, it will give me dump saying that this data is not, there is no data inside it. So to how to bring the data into that method. So in order to bring that data into that method, I have to instantiate that
That's
class.
yeah. Okay. You mean say instantiate that object?
Yes, object. We don't say object. The particular class, that the class, because you see, oops is some directly is a reuse method now. So when you want to reuse any class or any method, so this they have reused these methods, and for this the instance has been created. That's why I'm able to use these methods. And now if you want to use any other method, so for that also, that will be a reuse method only, reuse class only. So in order to use that class method, I have to create an instance of that class first, then only I can use the method of that class. This is specifically OOPS concept, more to a technical point.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Okay. So this is mostly like whatever you want to read, write, and everything. So when you are reading or when you are reading any data, okay. So in this IO change, you have one, you might have seen one parameter. Suppose if I'm reading this data, in this, when you read, so I'll show you again. So here there is one parameter. If you forget to so here, sorry. in this your mode, I think here also it will have. This is one flag. Okay, this one USMDX. So this is the very important thing. You'll have to make, this is a structure. Okay, with change flag. So unless and until, if you are writing in your data, you have to mark this as a change flag saying that this is changed X if you want to derive the data from your program. If you don't, if you have written that code also, and if you're not passing the X value over here, change value over here, then it will not change your data at the UI point of view. Okay, anything, any data, unless and until the change pointer is triggered, then it's not, the MDG doesn't consider the data as a change. Clear?
Yeah.
So that's
So
why
the system knows the system knows what we are going to do.
yes. So that's why this, how I, if I want to read the instance or this field symbol, so this structure has to be read. From this structure, the field has to be read, and that field has to, when suppose if you are changing the BU language or BU sort one, if you are changing, then that flag has to pass. Suppose if you are changing the BU sort from one, if you are changing the value, so the value, for the value you have different, for value you have here that logic to be written here, and and for other thing, that whether that value has been changed or not, that has to be written here. Suppose if I'll say gender, so if the gender, I want to change the gender, I say male. If I directly write like this M, and if I don't change the flag here, then it will not, suppose I'll directly show you like this function F8. So where is male? Gender, where is the gender? Oh, I think we don't have the field over here. Someone has removed this field. Okay. So if you want to change like this, then the flag has to be enabled over there. Then only this will consider as. Suppose now if I'll change this one, so I'll change this and then what will happen, I'll show you. So now if I'll show you, so see now. If I'll go down, see, I have changed one flag. So system says that one flag has been changed and that value is here. Legal entry has been changed. So that's why it's saying X. Okay. Clear on this point? Shishu, any questions? Sandeep, Alex? Okay, so no questions. So this was the way how we write the logic for or derive the logic for this one, the validation and derive entity. So we don't use this body and this. So where to use this body? So if you have something with related to Fury, that time you can use this one. Okay, derivation and default value across entity type for SAP Fury, only for SAP Fury. Rest all the body we don't use it. This is a very two important, these two body are very important body and will be used very often when we are implementing SAP MDG. So I think this will, because again, if we start process modeling is a very big topic. We want to start fresh. So in this process modeling, we'll be covering all the BRF plus configurations, decision table configuration, change request configuration, workflow configurations, the business activity, what we do, whether it's a create process, change process, and everything we'll be covering under process modeling.
If a change request is created and initiated, just a question, and did we all have you seen a Fury app on a mobile where they just go ahead and approve it?
Yes, SAP has given us that. That is I think UI5.
UI5.
Yeah, so that is built on UI5. So what was your question? Like,
so it's a standard, right? Right now, that app what is been given for the MDG Fury app. So
yes, it's a standard
do
app.
you have the link for that? All the Fury apps available, standard one.
Yeah, I said now that we can, whenever you want to go and you find the for information related to Fury, you go to the Fury library, HANA Fury library, search on Google. Like, because when we implement when I implement any Fury solution, you cannot remember everything, and every time a new something comes.
Yeah.
So if you are in the latest version, so you can go to the Google, give the Google Fury app library, Fury on HANA app library. Okay, there you give your version, on which version you are there. Then based on your version, you'll get all the Fury app associated to you.
Okay, and all the data model currently BP and finance, everything is, all the fields are available, or because what I hear is that the data model access to the Fury app is less. Some of the fields are not available as per the data model, the Fury app.
See, actually the Fury app which SAP is giving you, Fury app with UI5, okay, with which is which is compatible with your mobile app, tablet, and Android. So that I think only approval process has been given. And it is a mostly used when you might have heard about a lean UI, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so that is morely that process is mostly created into the SAP UI5, and that is given for the process with using to with mobile app. But if you are using a desktop application, we are not using very different. We are using the same UIBB configured for the Fury. So like suppose here also I have this one. So /UI2 /FLP. So if you see here, suppose I'll show you about Supplier Master. So this is directly our MDG, that same app, only we have converted this with the compatible to the Fury. That's it. Like if you have seen when the WebDen Pro was configured, when the WebDen Pro was available and FPM was not available. So after FPM came into the market, what they tried to do, they tried to use how they tried to use WebDen Pro application into FPM. So for that, in order to use your WebDen Pro into FPM, they had provided some interfaces. So by implementing that interfaces, you can use your WebDen Pro into Fury.
It's a reactive UI. Basically, it automatically converted to Fury UI5 tiles. So the WebDen Pro, the NWBC WebDen Pros, whatever the UI modeling we have done, it's converted. But this can be enhanced also through UI5.
Yes. So, but actually the base UI is your FPM application only. So all the entity, all the data model, whatever, my point was to say that all the entity and all the data, all the attributes available with the respective data model are available on this, even on the Fury app.
Yeah, we had one situation where the data model were missing a lot of fields, the Fury. So
approval process,
yeah,
or creation process.
Creation process. Like, if somebody wants to use a Fury Launchpad tile to create a business partner. So all the business partner data model was not available, accessible on the Fury.
Okay.
I believe it's 1709.
1709. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I had not used on that. Because here, even in MDG 1909 and 2020, so
Yeah.
we have all the fields. Even from 1909 we have all the fields. So
whatever we have on the data model, so it is available on the UI and all over the place. Okay, accessible externally also.
No. Sorry, for material we have, but for this something is different. Something is different. No, not all the fields is not there. Yes, you are correct. Sorry, I missed that point.
Yeah.
This is lean UI. This is not the main UI. This is lean UI. So they have not given in Fury, they have not given you the actual UI. This is only the lean UI they have converted into the Fury app.
Yeah. If I mean that is the reason why a lot of people go for creating a custom Fury app. But the question comes to the MDG solution architect is, okay, now we need to give that data accessibility. Like, you showed me that gov_API, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're going to use this and they are going to create the service, and they are going to call the service with this and map these fields, whatever the fields they have added to the. So the question is, we faced one challenge. One of the developers said that they had to literally copy that
standard
proxy into custom.
Yes.
And then create all the fields so that these Fury fields can be mapped to that.
So yeah, actually I have not configured or any customized this Fury app.
No, this is nothing to do with me. The thing is, the requirement is They want a prototype, want to see, because a lot of people, they are not liking the NWBC WebDin Pro kind of a look and feel.
Look and
Okay.
feel, yes.
Yeah. So the thing is, now we want a POC to have a Fury app where we want to create a business partner. Okay, that Fury app. And now the Fury app, if you create a business partner, they will have access to the proxy, like, you know, when to create a change request, right? That proxy is available. What is that proxy called? Uh, uh,
No. So why to go to a proxy? Because
yeah.
when you have the data model, when you are going, so the front end is my front end will be UI5. That way, that screen designing can be done separately. And
Mhm.
once the data is coming here, so we have this O data.
Or
Okay.
data services.
Yeah,
Now,
O data services is there. In that MDB method, there's one method in MDB. So in that method, the logic with how we have created a custom solution for MDG, like if someone wants to create a change request and all, that the logic can be written in that method. Because this
okay,
was,
deep entity. So you are trying to say is a create a deep entity structure in the OData service, and that should take care of creating the change request and all.
yes, because I had done this solution, like they had they want to create create material from Fury. So they were not
Okay.
using this. So and then the same
Yeah.
concept was applied here. The front end was created by the Fury developer,
Mhm.
and OData was handled by the MDG team. So MDG team was responsible to get. So what was happening? Only the messages or the OData services was we're passing, the Fury consultant will using our service name,
Correct.
and then it was getting triggered from there, and whatever you are passing from there will be triggering here. So it's a simple what is it? We use the help of OData and OData and SIW UI5 service. We were able to achieve that one.
Okay.
Instead
And
of
what is in
instead of
that
copy.
method? In that
Yeah.
method, what is he gonna call to create the change request? Our
Yeah.
API?
Here, suppose if you go here, you have this Go API, right?
Yeah.
So in this API, you have this
All the structure have access to that methods. All the methods we have access to.
so you can pass that C request,
Mhm.
and then once the C request is passed, so then you can the C request is created with a description. So the C request has to be created in our process modeling, and whatever the workflow step is required, that can also be created with
Yeah,
process modeling.
that from MDG point of view, we have all that configuration, everything is ready, right? We have a change
Yes,
request type, so all things are ready. So okay, this is the piece, and okay, this is what we have to give access to this class.
yes,
When in the entity set create, is supposed to use this all basically.
yes,
The
this one.
OData service. In the OData service, there's a create,
Yes,
CRUD
yes.
operations, right? So in the
Yeah, create
create, we are
option.
supposed to use. Yeah. Okay, got it. Got it.
So this is the one, like many custom solution when we build, we use this same Go API. We use this Go API. So anything you want to read, validate, create, write, everything
Yep.
is available here.
And also analytics part. Now, a lot of people are talking about MDG analytics, like, what is my quality of my data? How many, a particular user, how much time they are taking to approve one change request, end to end for one change request. What is the time, time lag we have? So those analytics, do we have a standard app for that? Do we have to build for ourselves?
No,
This
no,
MDG is.
we have that app. We have automatically that app. Suppose if you go here, suppose in the change request, your change request, you can see this just a config. This has to be configured, or what this has to be configured and activated. So this
More like,
comes this
yeah.
comes with the HANA database.
Yes, correct. So there are two things discussion. I mean, what we have been looking. if the MDG is not flexible in giving the data in the display here as a standard, the ask is, can we expose this data so that they can build their own reports to Power BI?
Power BI.
Yeah. So if it is very hard and time consuming to build the dashboards and all kind of things, right? So how many the analytics dashboard for this MDG? But when I saw that, we didn't had a very basic dashboard, that data quality, you know, that charts and all kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah.
That's what you're referring to, right?
Yes, yes.
So
Simple chart. I think you like the very detailed. I think you might have seen that one. So it's not at a very detailed level,
yeah,
like how you see here.
correct. We have to activate this, right? Business
Yes.
graph, this, yeah,
Yes.
all, and the data quality, and also things like, you know, how many mass processing, how many we did it, those kind of charts. If we have, I mean, the ask is, if we can't build our own dashboard here easily, they want this data to be exposed so that they will build their own dashboards. In Power BI, it's very easy.
Oh,
In less than 3-4 hours, you can build one dashboard and charts all. And the ask is, can we give the data to them?
can we give that? I think for BW, right? So for BW also they have the API.
No. There is no BW here. The BW is gone. There is no
Oh.
BW. This thing is, in MDG, we say, for example, we have like 6,000 or say 4,000 change requests done. There is some data profiling done and all those kind of things. Just a scenario. Okay. The ask is like the business is going to be using this from January 1st, 2022. This change request, this is the task. What they are asking is, we want to have the manager want to see a dashboard with, like, you know, how many records failed, how many, you know, were rejected, how many are in the profiling, poor quality data, you know, these kind of things. So the thing is, can you give us the table, or we said we cannot give you direct access to the tables, we can give you a OData service. Okay, we will build a CDS view and give you OData service, and you use the OData service in Power BI. You build your own. We'll give you all the data in that service. Okay, Power BI is a Microsoft tool. So now in the OData service, what are we gonna give? The MDG. So the tables, right? For this
Tables in OData, you can give the output parameter like get. So get, right? When they CRUD operation, when they say get, so in the get
no, that understood. The OData side, okay, but in the OData, in the CDS view, if you have to build CDS view, say for example, I want to display sales order in a Fiori tile. I'll give you I'll like custom. The OData service is built. In that we'll do get entity set. In that we'll do select star from VBAK, VBAP, and into that so and so, and we'll pass on to that entity set data model, and you will see the line items and sales orders on the Fiori app. So that means we have to give two tables. We will create a CDS view. We'll call that CDS view, and that we'll do it directly, and we can even directly create service from Eclipse CDS view. We can directly create service. We don't have to generate and all. But now for that, what are we supposed to create CDS view for MDG to give them? Do we have anything? You know what I mean? It's okay. I mean, Prem, I think I'm getting more into detail, but it's okay if you know that, or if you can find out also, that'd be really helpful, because right now we are working on it. So that is the reason. So
okay, and that's a good question, because actually this scenario I have also not worked, and this
it's going to be common. Trust me, this is going to be a common scenario going forward, because whoever has Office 365, right? Power BI is free.
Okay.
In companies, whoever is using Office 365 emailing, Power BI is a free. So they don't need business objects. They don't need anything. They don't need to extract the data on. All we have to give services. They can build basic analytics, you know, and even SAP Analytics also directly we can do this. Analytics Cloud. We can directly pull this OData service and build wonderful dashboards. We don't have to do all this. So as long as we have that data access, we should be good. So this is going to be helpful going forward for everybody, the dashboards, because business wants to build their own like a self-service, self-service Power BI. We don't build dashboards for them. We'll give the data and they will build their own dashboards. But especially the question came up in the last 2-3 years, we have been hearing the same thing. How is our reports coming in master data governance? The challenges in the theory and reporting. I mean, whatever we are here doing is a transactional, right? Here, whatever we are doing is a transaction, creating
master data.
No, I understand. I'm not talking about SAP level. We are creating a change request. We are approving it. It's a transaction for us. But the content is a master data.
Yes.
But we are doing a transaction. But what they want a dashboard of these all things what we do here.
Oh.
Imagine like big customers or the level of like 30,000 40,000 customers getting into the system, and every 1 year they add like 100 or 200 customers. I'm talking about, they want to know eventually the goal is they want to see the customer data, they want to see the transactions of the customer, they want to see the transaction of the supplier, they want to see the whole big picture in analytics. So the master data governance also will come into the picture. How many we have created customers, what type of customers we have by region, if it is a multi-country like China, India, Brazil, and Germany. So and so if you have these dashboards, that will be helpful if you go region by region in MDG implementation also, right?
Yes, that's good. That's there. I think anyway, so I'll have a look on this because it's something very new, and I have not implemented like this solution as of now.
Because they're asking MDG guy. So because this comes under MDG department, right? Master data.
Yes,
the master data governance leadership is supposed to answer them. We know that it is feasible, but we have to know the content to give them. That's all.
Okay.
We have done that for other regions. We have done for logistics and all. It's working. And there, so the thing is, we are showing this as a demo in MDG that these are our reporting. These are the details we wanted. So we just want to show option 1, option 2. Option 1 is standard MDG. This is going to cost this much. This is the way. You say option 2 is customization, right? More development hours, more charge.
Yeah, that's there.
So, but thanks. This is kind of I'm a little bit more onto it's later part. It's not urgent, but if you can get any answer, that would be really great, appreciable.
Yeah, to answer your question, like whatever the data that you need, especially if you are looking at change request statistics, there is a table in MDG which holds all the change requests and what is the time it took to process the change request. So for that, we can just create a function module to extract the data and expose it as a OData service. So once the OData service is exposed, anybody can consume, whether it is a Power BI or anybody. So
okay, there is some change request. Okay, what about the depends upon
exactly like for it depends on your need. For all your needs, there are some standard function modules SAP is providing, but if it is specific to your client requirements, then you have to develop that RFC enabled function modules and expose them as OData.
Yeah, we don't even have to create a function module anymore. We can directly create a CDS view and that will generate service.
Yeah, on top of CS view, CDS view.
Yeah.
So the moment you expose them as a OData service, that's good. Like anybody can consume.
Yeah, that URL is accessible. That's what we are doing in Power.
Exactly. Yep.
So this is one table, but I think you may require more details or something.
This is on the change request level, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What if you have loaded? So you have loaded today 600 materials, like a mass upload, 600 materials, new materials. And okay, now we want a data profiling on that material types from MDG coming into, not on the after the replication, just within the MDG module. Materials, customers, vendors, those things. This is on a change request level. I got it. The table what we're talking about, we'll get the table, what change request number, change request type, and this will, and we'll find it. But I just want to see on the data level, materials or a business partner, supplier kind of a thing. Do we do we do that in DQM or where do we do that? The data profiling.
Data profiling, actually, till now we were using this IS, information steward.
Yeah.
In IAM, in information steward, we were performing all this part. Because IS is that you can directly integrate with MDG. So I think they have implemented this new solution, DQM. They have, but I have to look whether that profiling part is added or not. Because DQM is it's a very new thing, and they have not implemented, many things have not implemented as such, because there are lots of things still it is going for change. Lots of nodes are being implemented, so it's a very fresh product. Right.
Okay. But that has to be only on HANA.
Yeah. DQM, when you're saying DQ, this all the analytic part, when you're going, that it has to be on HANA database.
Yep.
Not on DB, not on your other database.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Fine, then. So we'll stop here today, and then tomorrow we'll see process modeling on the next topics.
We're starting tomorrow, right? Process modeling.
Yeah. Process modeling will start tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks everyone. Bye. Take care.